Hello and welcome to Be Radiant, where we offer the opportunity and authentic community to build and empower you to live radiant lives full of light, love, and hope. With that in mind, we will bring you relevant information each week to equip you to live your best life. We believe that in His presence is fullness of joy, and at His right hand are pleasures forevermore. And we want you to be able to walk in the light. So we're going to bring someone on today that is living his best life, that is out there doing what makes for a radiant life. So today we have none other than Marcus Thompson. Let me bring him on. Good morning, Marcus. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I am incredible.
Oh, wow. I tell you, if you all read the bio on or the introduction to today's show, you saw I said my friend and brother. Over this past year, over the year of 2020, he has truly become a friend, but he's also my brother. He is my brother because we're both professing Christians, and I am a part of Alpha Sorority Incorporated. You know, those pretty girls. Anyway, he is also a part of the fam. And how are you a part of the fam, Marcus?
I am a brother in Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And it is always good to be with a sister.
All right, I tell you, it is, and it's been great watching you over this past year, Marcus. I have seen you grow and develop, and I am so proud to be your friend and your sister. And with that, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Marcus?
Well, right now, I have, let's just start from last year. I was a candidate for the Georgia State House for District 164. I was trying to unseat the third most powerful person in the lower house in Georgia, and came very close.
Wow.
Very, very close. But I didn't do it alone. I did it with an incredible team of people that volunteered. A very, very solid, strong core of people that were around me, that were loyal to the end, that I trusted, people that just believed in what we were trying to do. We came close, and I think that we made not just the effort, but we actually made hopefully some sort of mandate that Ron Stevens takes back to the House. You never can tell, but a lot of people spoke. And so, we're now from there. The day after I conceded, it took 2 days because we were counting ballots. And unlike some other people we may know, we looked at the math and we didn't see a way to victory. So it was clear that we were not going to be able to catch up. There just weren't enough votes. So I called Ron and had a great conversation with him and conceded. And he was very appreciative. It did hit me a little hard. But then that Saturday, when President-elect Biden was announced, I know that the job that I did, that we did, it helped that to come across, to be accomplished. And so didn't stop, just kept going, and I worked hard. You too, Valerie. We were working hard for Warnock and Ossoff. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was good work though. Good trouble. We got some good trouble together this past year.
It was indeed. And we made history. We made history. And so now, I'm actually the office manager for the Chatham County District Attorney's Office with Shalina Cook Jones.
All right now.
That has been an amazing experience. It has been a fulfilling experience, and every day I go in, I'm excited about the things that we can do for the community.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. And in talking about that, you kind of shared a little bit about what you're doing, but when I say the phrase civic responsibility, tell us how that has shaped your life, especially in the year of 2020. You gave us a little bit about it, but when I say civic responsibility, what does that bring to mind for you?
Civic responsibility to me, it's taken on a brand new meaning in 2020, because one of my favorite quotes is from Martin Luther King, where he says we're all trapped in a network of mutuality, and that we are tied in the single garment of destiny, and that what affects one directly affects others indirectly. We have not seen, the pandemic has just demonstrated that time and time and time again. What affects my neighbor definitely affects us. And so civic responsibility is just that. Everything that I do, regardless of if it's good, if it's bad, if it's mediocre, if I don't do anything, it still affects my community in some way. And so I choose to try to do the best things that I can do to affect my community. That's what civic responsibility. It's something that you have to choose to do, and it's not easy.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's something that it needs to be done, because if the wrong people step up, you never know how it can affect you.
That is right. And you said something that just sparked my interest when you said, if you do nothing, then you're still choosing your civic responsibility. You're choosing to ignore it, and it does cause an effect in your community. If we do nothing, then we get nothing. Nothing gets better. In fact, if we do nothing, if enough people do nothing,
Right.
if enough people do nothing, then it actually gets worse.
Right.
Okay. So it doesn't just remain the same. And I think a lot of times people say, well, if I don't get involved, nothing changes. It does. It gets worse if enough people say, well, I just won't get involved. And we'll end up with the same old same, the same people in office, the same legislation being passed, the same treatment of our people. And when I say our people, I'm saying, like you said, Martin Luther King said it. And someone said a beautiful quote, he was a beautiful man. He was a beautiful life. That quote says it all, that if I shuck or skirt around my responsibility, then it indirectly sometimes affects the lives of others. And so we have to make a difference. We have to make our voice heard. As you can see, I pulled out one of my stickers. I make sure I vote. Make your voice heard through voting.
Definitely.
Make your voice heard when it's not an election season by being present. And Marcus, I think when I interviewed you last year, you talked about making sure we hold elected officials accountable.
Yes.
We can't rest on our laurels and said, hey, the man that I voted for or the woman that I voted for is in office, so let's let them do their work. No, we've got to be civically responsible and say, hey, what can I do to help you? How can I represent my community in your presence so that we can begin to get some laws changed, or we can get some services to our community? I can talk about that all day, because I am staying active, and I'm going to be announcing an initiative I have a little bit later on this year. But I feel like this is just, like I said, we got in the fight, you and I love it. I love it. And to hear that you are now, what are you doing? You said you're working with our DA, our new DA, Shalina Cook-Jones. Yes.
Yes.
So what are you doing with her?
So we are, she has just taken the office, her administration has taken office. And I am the office manager for the operations side of the office, and the HR portion as well. We're our own HR. And so we are in the midst of, honestly, changing the culture, changing the mindset to understand that what we're doing is for the greater good, in the sense that we can change thousands of people's lives that are in the community. And I can directly affect that by making sure the office runs smoothly, efficiently, that the team knows that not only do we care about them, but we want them to thrive, because the better they feel about what they do, the more good work they can do for the community.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you kind of a chief of staff kind of thing going on. I love it. I love it. So my brother takes civic responsibility serious. Not only is he doing it in his everyday personal life, in the community, but he's doing it in his professional life. I love it. I love it. All right. Now we kind of talked about 2020 and all the hard work you were doing. And when I tell you he was doing hard work, because he was not just campaigning for himself, but for every candidate that was on that ticket. So, and he did it in a way that just made me feel like a big sister. I was like, oh, my brother is just out there doing it. I love it. I just want you to know, y'all. But let's fast forward now to 2021, and Mark Ott steps down as the city councilman in Richmond Hill. Tell me, what was your immediate response when you heard that?
Valerie, in order to tell you exactly how I felt, I've got to give you a little bit of context. So,
okay.
On so on the 18th, I lost my job with my former employee.
Uh-huh.
And I felt at peace in my spirit, and so that I just felt like there was something was happening. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got a call from Shalina to invite me to her swearing in, and we started talking, and the way this type of I didn't even want to tell her what had just happened, because I don't like chasing positive with negative.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
And so, because we've formed a bond over the campaign season, she's seen how hard I work. I've seen how hard she works. We had our delegation, and she actually kept asking, well, what's going on? I just said I could be better, and she said, you know what's happening, Marcus? And so I ended up telling her. And she said, well, what is your background? And I said, well, I'm a seasoned sales representative, and I have office manager experience with a strong HR background.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I cannot believe this. This is God. This is exactly what I need for this office. I need an office manager with HR background.
Uh-huh.
And I said, you need to stop lying to me right now.
You know what, Marcus, just to interject there, when we are being civically responsible, which to me means caring about other people and doing something positive for our community, God sees that, and I believe that he smiles on it. So this is no coincidence here. So
not at all. And so she asked me if I wanted an interview on the spot. I was like, is that a question? And so she interviewed me, and then I met with the executive team that following Monday, and the rest that week was just a whirlwind, and it was amazing. I classify it as a miracle. And then the Tuesday after the New Year, I learned that Mark Ott had stepped down from the city council. So I said, God, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying? Did this happen? What are you trying to tell me?
yeah.
And because at this point, after campaigning for myself, campaigning for Biden, campaigning for Warnock and Ossoff and Daniel Blackman, I was tired, to be honest. Just like a lot of people are. But at the same time, if I said to myself, if I'm serious about helping people, and this seat is available, and I can actually hold it because it's nonpartisan, and I'm working for the DA's office, I have a responsibility to go after it.
Oh, wow.
And that's exactly what happened. And I'm not gonna front. I'm gonna be absolutely real. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted about the election season. I'm exhausted about the just putting our all into something that we don't really know what the outcome could be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also encouraged because I've wanted to help people, and this is definitely one of the ways that I can do that.
Yeah.
And so I threw my hat in. I threw my name in the hat.
All right.
And we've got it's a short election season, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is another blessing. I think all the way everything has just happened, it has been a stepping stone from one to the other. And I can't deny that I have to do it. I have to go for it.
Mm-hmm. And you said something there about being tired. I am exhausted. And you sent the message saying that you were running, and you said, "Who's in?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "I have to be honest. I am 99.9% in." I said, "Then there's 0.1% that is exhausted and tired." I said, "But I'm going to drag that on with me anyway." We
I
have
appreciate it.
work to do. So yes, yes, yes. With that being said, and you said this is a nonpartisan race, which means that you can effectively hold it while you're still in a. This is a federal. Is it federal or state? The
It's
DA
a
state.
it's a count. Well, it's actually a mix between state and county, but it's mostly county. And
Okay.
where it concerns me, it's county.
Okay. All right. All right. And so now, what can people do that are watching or will watch this later? What can they do to help you in your efforts in running for the Richmond Hill City Council seat?
So if you live inside the city of Richmond Hill, the city limits of Richmond Hill, and you are watching this, then I'm asking for your vote, definitely. If you want to look me up, feel free. Google me. Yes, I am about people. I'm about helping people. I am an advocate for everybody, even if they don't vote for me. And that has been a a stepping stone, a platform, a staple, a cornerstone of everything that I've done. Because when it comes down to it, not everybody's going to like you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are in an elected position, you have to be for everyone else.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
It's a mandate. And
Yeah.
it is expected, and I don't think it's done enough in our current atmosphere, unfortunately. So if you live inside the city limits and you're watching this, you like what you hear, please talk to your family members about me, talk to your friends about me. If you are one of my supporters, please get 5 of your friends, 10, let's go with 10 of your friends, and come out and vote on March 16th. Early voting is going to open up on, I believe, February 12th. I apologize. I need to confirm that date. But if you're interested in helping, reach out to me at my website, electmarcusforus.com. It is still set up for my state run, but I do absolutely get communication, and I get donations from there as well.
All right.
So we're gonna do it. And if you're interested in helping, I would love to have you.
All right. You know what? I was so proud to be able to vote for you in the last election. And unfortunately, I won't be able to vote for you this time because I'm not in Richmond Hill. However, I'm still going to work for you, brother, because I know the caliber of man that's coming to the seat. So I will definitely be working for you. I tell you, we're about to have a little shift in the conversation here. We've been talking positive and how great things are going, but this past year brought about a lot of uncomfortable change. And
Mm-hmm.
change is always necessary, but it's been a little bit of uncomfortable change this past year due to the coronavirus, and over 400,000 citizens of the United States of America that are no longer with us. And
Amazing.
we mourn their loss, the loss of those families. And I got a text yesterday stating that someone close to me has tested positive, and asking for prayer. So it's been a really difficult past year. And with all of that going on in our lives and trying to campaign in a socially distanced atmosphere, I've watched you guys do some amazing things. I'll just say that. But with everything happening, what went through your mind on January 6th? That was a day that it will mark 2020. I should say 2021. It's going to mark 2021 forever. So what were you thinking when you were watching that unfold?
You know, I'm a history buff. And so when I saw what was happening, I said to myself, this will be a date that will go down in infamy. For the first time for the first time, period, watching a Confederate flag walk through the halls of our nation's capital was, it tore me up, to be honest. So, I am somebody that condemns violence in any form. And to watch people justify it and to watch people compare it to it, I was torn up that day. I was torn up. You know, we have a country that has the potential to be the greatest civilization that has ever existed on the earth. But we have to be accountable.
Yes.
And so when we do things like this, when there's violence, there needs to be accountability. We have a civic responsibility to hold leaders that push these mindsets accountable for their actions. Period, point blank. And it would be something different if we didn't have everything on video, Valerie.
Yeah, you're right. And words have power.
Yes.
Words have power. And that is the reason that I named this segment that I do Be Radiant, because the build and empower. We do that through our words and our actions.
Yes.
And words carry weight. And like you said, when our government leaders and our spiritual leaders, because there were spiritual leaders that were saying things that were so untrue. And those are the two main areas of our lives that we put a big stake in what the leader says. In our religious life and in our government, we make a big deal out of what they say and what they do. And when they are using terms and they're saying things that are untrue, they motivate people in the wrong direction.
Yes.
And like you said, for me, it was really disheartening to hear the comparison between what happened this summer. I am against all violence. I'm against looting. All of that is senseless to me. Yeah. But I am all about peaceful protests. And in both of those situations, there were different motives. And I think the motive has a lot to do with why things are different. Right. And so when they start talking about, well, what about this summer? Well, we're not talking about this summer right now. Let's deal with this matter at hand. We had armed citizens. And when I say armed, it may not have been with a firearm, but I am hearing that some had firearms.
A lot had firearms.
Yeah. And they even had, from what I understand, like little small incendiary devices.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So when I hear that kind of stuff, and it's not, saying we're going to protest in the street, but we're going to go take our capital. And now they're finding out that there were plans to actually execute some of the Congress people, congressmen and congresswomen. What in the world? There is no justification or comparison that can be made. We've got to deal with this situation independently and deal with those other situations from this summer, deal with them accordingly. But let's take care of this because our government is at stake. Our democracy is at stake. I heard a historian had written that most civilizations topple at about 250 years.
Oh, wow.
because of a struggle for power. And we are, how old is America? We are 245 years old. Are we going to let the thirst for power turn us into an uncivilized place? Are we going to allow our democracy to topple because people are power hungry? Mm.
That's exactly right. I mean, you have to, I remember people saying that electing Trump to office wouldn't change much, and and then people, this past a couple of months ago saying that, oh, it'd be okay if he's, just let him air his grievances. It's okay if he doesn't like the election outcome. And what you see is people that were ginned up and told and lied to and lied to and lied to and lied to, and then not quite truly understanding how our democracy works, and that what they were trying to overthrow on the 6th was ceremonial. I mean, the event had taken place.
Mm.
The election was done.
Yes.
But when we have so many people that are willing to not take a part in the concourse, in the conversation, in the political process, in just learning, I, and we do still teach social studies, but I don't know how far it goes, how deep it goes, because
I tell you, we don't have a civics class anymore. I remember taking civics, and guess who I took my civics class from? You'll never guess.
ooh,
My father-in-law. He wasn't my father-in-law at the
wow.
time, but my future father-in-law. And I started dating Ramon probably the year after I took his class, so it had nothing to do with it. But yes, and when I tell you that he taught us everything from how the government is run. He talked about every branch of the government. He also taught us about stock markets and just all kinds of stuff. It was amazing to be in his class. He was a brilliant man. And so I truly, truly enjoyed his class. But they don't have a specific civics class anymore. They have to kind of intertwine that into the social studies class, which, if you know this, that social studies talks about social science. So it talks about everything. And they have this little blurb in there, and it's not an appropriate way to handle it, I believe. So our
if we're
children
going
are
to
not.
if we're going to if we're going to grow as a country, we have to acknowledge everything that's happened. We
Yes.
have to go back. I mean, there are massacres that haven't been put into our history books.
Mhm, mhm.
There's a general unease about understanding how our country works. We have to stop showing just the light side and understand that there is a dark side as well, and we won't really coalesce as a country until we know it all. I mean, you know what? As a matter of fact, oh my gosh. With that being said, Amanda Gorman, the National Poet Laureate. First of all, she
Jumping
passed.
ahead, because I was about to talk about that day, but let's go ahead and fast forward there.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
no, you are absolutely fine, because my next question is, in contrast to that dark day, we had January 20th. What were you thinking and feeling when you watched that day?
I'm getting chills just thinking about it right now. I mean, I was so. I'm a man that believes in hope,
Mhm,
right? You
mhm.
know, I'm not naive about it. I just believe 100% in it. And I'm not an emotional person either. I'm very logical. I try to put intellect before my emotions, but I tell you, man, I was so proud to be an American on January 20th. I was from Justice Sotomayor to J-Lo to Lady Gaga to Garth Brooks to Amanda Garman to Kamala Harris
Yeah.
to Joe Biden. I mean, and one of the things that Amanda Garman, which by the way, she has a speaking impediment, which I was like, she sounds like one of the best spoken humans I've ever heard in my life.
Did you hear what her impediment was?
No, what is it?
Yeah, first of all, I thought it was amazing that the poet that spoke that day had a speech impediment, and our new president has a speech impediment that he had to overcome. His was stuttering, and so every now and then you hear him pause in his speech, or it almost sounds like he's forgotten what he's going to say, but he's trying to form in his head how to let the sounds come out. So I've learned that about him, and so I can bear with his speeches because I understand that. With her speech impediment was she could not pronounce certain letters in words. And her big one was an R. She could not make the R sound. And she's 22. She says at the age of 20 is when she mastered the R sound with years of speech therapy.
That's
So
incredible.
I'm sitting there listening, and she says, and I would have the word rise in my poem over and over again. She says, but what it did for her was let her know that she had truly overcome that impediment and that now she is ready for whatever comes her way. And I was like, go girl. I wish at 22 that I was feeling that empowered, but she has empowered so many young people, young African Americans and young people in general, just to say, I can dream young and I can achieve what it is that I've been called to do. And we have many callings over our lives. So I am so excited about her. But you're right. I'm just going to tell you when she started speaking and she talked about finding light in all this shade, I was like, okay, we are in for a treat right now. So, and she ended it by saying, I'm trying to find the exact,
I got you.
you got it. The
I
exact
got you.
quote she said about not being brave enough to see the light.
There is always light if only we are brave enough to see it, if only we are brave enough to be it.
And you know what? Instantly, I thought about a photo that I had taken when I was in my full, and it's, oh gosh, it's from Nigeria. A friend of mine went to Nigeria and she brought me back a full. I remember being in that garb and having my headpiece on with it like a queen.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm about to put that quote on that I am brave enough to be it.
That's
I am brave enough to be it. She gave me courage to see this young girl up there speaking her truth. I was like, I am brave enough to be it. Yes, Amanda, you have challenged me. I accept the challenge. So I
know
think that there are other people that are also accepting the challenge. But yes, it gave you so much hope that day. Whether you are Democrat or Republican, you had to, if you took off your blinders, you had to look at that stage and say, America still has hope. I mean, you had to.
absolutely. And when I was talking about the learning about her past, one of her quotes that she mentioned was and this really hit me. It really hit me. Being American is more than a pride we inherit. It is a past we step into and how we repair it. And
Yes,
we have to be able to step into that past, regardless of how it's going to make people feel. Our feelings are not going to push us forward as a country.
right.
Understanding where we come from, understanding what we've done, both good and bad, and everything in between, that's where our legacy will become unbreakable.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
It's
Truth, like you said, being honest. Because no, we're not in slavery times now. Of course not. Some people are like, why do you want to talk about that? We're not in slavery times. You're absolutely right. And guess what? There's enough of us to say we're not going back to that time either.
that's right.
But we recognize that, but it is a part of our history. And so we need to understand it. We need to recognize it, recognize the mistakes that happened coming out of slavery. You know, we had an opportunity to make America great, not again, but to make it great at that moment. And they were on their way. Lincoln had troops in the South that made it possible for Black men to vote, and we had Black men in office. And all of those things were going on. And so it looked like we were moving in the right direction, but there was a compromise made and they ended up pulling those troops and we went back into dark ages. Let's not repeat the mistakes of our past. That's and, you know, Marcus, tell me what you think about this. A lot of people say, well, you know, the statues that are up, they remind us of our past and, you know, we shouldn't take them down because they teach us history. Talk to me. What's your feeling on that? You saw my little face because you know my feeling is not quite there. But go ahead, tell me about what you think.
My thought about it is, yes, we need historic statues. We need that paraphernalia. Just we don't need it in prominent areas. We don't need to lift up these people that tried to tear our country down the middle. We don't need to lift up people that thought that one race was inferior to the other. We do not need to do that. What we do need to do is take all of these statues and place them somewhere that we can all go see them and understand what our past was about. Because if you're saying, oh, you know, we need to know, this is telling us about our past, this is telling us where we're not going to go back to, then why do you have this Confederate soldier in the middle of a square where everybody in the city has to drive around? No, put him in a museum and then replace him with somebody that's lifted up the name of America, that's somebody that's worked to make us a United States of America, not somebody who tried to divide us. That does not make sense. When you think about it, it doesn't make sense. When you talk about it, it's difficult for somebody to justify that and actually understand that division is not how celebrating division is not how we are united.
Not how we move forward. It is absolutely not. I'm going to see if I can get Alicia Ayres Scott on here. She actually ran for office in I think it was 2018, if I remember correctly.
Ran for the same seat I ran for.
2018. And I met her during that time. And I will tell you something that she did. She actually spoke as a TED in a TED talk, and her TED talk was about the monuments and how we are the only country that has monuments to people who lost.
Yes.
That when there has been a devastating event in other countries, what they have monuments to are the people who survived, the people who came out on the right side of that particular event. But here in the United States, we have monuments to men who lost and who were really traitors to the country because they were trying to walk away from the union that we say we hold so dear. Right. I will say one other thing about that too, Marcus, is that I don't need to see the statue of a Stonewall Jackson. I don't need to see a statue of Robert E. Lee to know what they did to devastate the South. Exactly. I can read a book. Exactly. I can read a book. And I say, I'm like you, put them in a museum for all of the people who want to go and see it. That's your decision. That's your choice. But a lot of those statues came about during Jim Crow, the Jim Crow South era. They didn't come as a commemoration of the great work these men did. They came at a time in our history to make people afraid. They wanted Black people to know, stay in your place, because these are the people we reverence. This is the life we reverence. That is why they were put in place. They were not put in place to commemorate anything. And so anybody that's got something negative, please put it in the comments, because I'm here for it. I'm here for all of that, because I got time for that today. I do, because that is why they were erected. They were not erected to commemorate anything. They were erected to bring about fear. They were placed in front of courthouses. They were placed in, like you say, town squares, where people that looks like me and you were sold on a regular basis. Right. That is what they are there for, to instill fear and to say, stay in your place. Well, I'm here to tell you, my place today is to sit in any seat of government that I can be elected to. My place is to serve in the pulpit of a church and to speak boldly to anyone who will listen about the word of God. Black, white, Hispanic, Indian, whatever. That is my place. My place is to be a teacher in a school that teaches all children, not one set or one race of children. Come on, we've come past those days. So let's say we're past those days, and let's show that we're past those days. Right. America is great. Go ahead.
That's what needs to be celebrated. People like you.
Yes.
We need to, and I don't believe that we should destroy the statues.
Right.
I believe that we should put every one of them in a museum and say, look, we'll take classes to the museum. We'll have field trips and say, boys and girls, this right here is not what America is about. This right here is not what we're going to go back to. And then put statues of people that are holding office, bringing us together. Teachers, putting statues of incredible teachers in town squares. Incredible nurses that have been the shield between us and COVID. I mean, that's what we need to celebrate.
Absolutely. Let's, instead of putting, like you said, putting up statues that remind us of a dark past. And it, like I said, if it was put up to commemorate what they did for the United States, I would even say that was different, but it wasn't. It was put up for fear. Let's take down fear and let's put up hope. Let's put up hope so people can see. And yes, like you said, put them in the museum where it says, let's go see what we won't do, yes. What we won't be a part of, because yes, that dark history. So Marcus, I have enjoyed talking to you, and I can't wait to work for you and with you in this coming election that you have coming up. So I'm looking for you to let me know, hey, how can I help? And you all know that you can go to electmarcusforus.com if you want to make a donation, if you want to sign up to volunteer, and he's going to be updating that site so he can let you know what those volunteer opportunities are. I am just excited. And I have a question that I close with each week, and it is, what are you doing right now that causes you to find joy in the journey and to build and empower yourself and others to live radiant lives?
What am I doing right now? Okay, you know what? I'll tell you. Every morning, I say a prayer. I listen to two things. One of them is it's a quote that I try to live my life by. I love quotes. If you know me, you know I love quotes. One of the things I try to live my life by is it's a Star Trek quote, and I've repeated it during my campaign.
You're cracky too. Oh, my brother.
Yes. It is. This was from the original series, and it basically says in this universe, in this galaxy, there's a mathematical probability of 3 million Earth-type planets, and in all the universe, 3 million galaxies like this, and in all of that, and perhaps more, only one of each of us. It gives me chills even right now. Every time I say it, every time I hear it, it gives me chills, because it draws a distinct line to your value.
Mm-hmm.
You are the only you in existence.
Absolutely.
And you have to work to make sure that everybody at least knows that fact about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing I listened to, this is a recent thing, I listened to the Hills We Climb by Amanda Garland.
What you say? I have it recorded. I'm gonna make sure I start listening to it daily too. I think it's an amazing, amazing poem. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it just, her poem is what I think America, if America was alive, if the country was a sentient being, I think that the United States of America would live by her poem. To include, not divide. And I think, and I believe that every time I listen to it, I learn something new.
Yeah.
Every time I listen to it, there is a new part of America that I feel is, I don't know, is climbing that hill to get to the top. And I think that we're going to win at our 250-year anniversary.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Marcus. I wish you the absolute best in this upcoming election. But what I know about you for sure is that no matter what, win or lose, you are for us. You are for us. You are for this community as a whole, this Chatham County, Bryan County. I love that you don't have, there's no, I'm just about, you're about this whole region. And so I am so amazingly proud to be your friend and your sister. So thank you so much for coming on this morning. And remember, guys, you can go to electmarcusforus.com, make a contribution to his campaign. You can also find out how you can be a part of it. So Marcus, thank you so much. I love you, brother. I love you, brother.
I love you. I love you. And we can do it. We can do it.
We can absolutely do it. And I just want to let you all know that on Be Radiant, which means to build and empower yourself and others to live radiant lives. So be radiant. We want to be the light. We can't let little young Amanda Gorman outshine us. Come on now, old heads. We got to get up and we've got to do our part. So I invite you in to Be Radiant every Saturday at 9 a.m. And I'm going to have a conversation with someone from our community that can help us live bright, brilliant, and beautiful lives. So today, this Saturday, I want you to find a way that you can make a difference. I love you guys, and I'll see you here next Saturday.
You could go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt, you can stress on the strife, but I'm gonna fly past the worry.